Okay, so we're on to my number two draft team, I guess we'll call it. And that is Ocracoke Pirate Party, funny enough. So give the props to the man out in Texas, give the props to Robbie. Yeah, I like the team as I chew on some gum. Um, so 25th overall, we auctioned up Nico Collins, 51 bucks out of Houston. All right, so Nico has become one of the best receivers in football over the last couple of years. I was surprised when he got his extension, I want to say a couple years ago, and then last year was a little bit down for him because 2 years ago was the breakout, I guess you could say. Yeah, 2 years ago was the breakout because he had like a 1,300-yard season. And then last year, he only played, I want to say, 12 games. And he was good in those games. Don't get me wrong. It's just the fact that he missed 5 games, which is a lot. But at the same time, I mentioned in the previous video about Houston with Jaden Higgins. Tank Dell's gone. Stephon Diggs is gone. CJ Stroud's still there. And if Nico Collins is healthy, then you would imagine he's probably going to be the guy. So you're starting out with the base front, getting Nico. I feel like receiver was real weird this year, especially because there are teams, as I pull it up, there are teams that spent a lot on receiver, like Sarah went in on getting Jamar Chase for 71. And then there are teams like Brian who would get like a $27 Brian Thomas Jr. So there was like numbers all over the board with receiver that were like real weird. CeeDee Lamb for 60. We got Devontae Adams for 31. I mean, we're getting like Travis Hunter for 18. So receiver was definitely the more difficult position, I would say, this year to really get a feel for, and you wouldn't know that going into the draft. So all of that is to say, getting Collins at the start of the draft for 51 is pretty good value. He might have an even better year than he had 2 years ago because of all the lost talent. So I'm thinking he gets close to 100 receptions, and he goes for maybe 1,300 yards, probably again around 8-9 touchdowns. That seems to be his norm. But bona fide number one receiver, top of the line, top 5 guy. 51 bucks for him, I mean, all things considered, is a pretty good deal. It's weird how receiver went kind of gangbusters and then went kind of super budget, but Collins fits right in the middle of that. So that's right around what he's probably valued a little more, but it's good. It's a good pick. It's good value. 51. So we went from 25 to 26 picks later. So you were the team that was sitting on that money. $19, Aaron Jones Sr. So a favorite of mine. I am an Aaron Jones stan. He is a favorite of mine. I've always liked him ever since he came to the league out of UTEP on Green Bay. So he's back in Minnesota. He was top 10 in carries, targets, touches, and yards last year. He had over 1,100 yards rushing, and he played, I want to say, 2/3 of the offensive snaps up in Minnesota. But he didn't score a lot of touchdowns. I think he only scored like 7, which is kind of a shame because everything else about his season was incredible. If you took that up to what he was expected, I want to say he was expected like double that, like 14. If he had scored around there, he would have been like a top 5 back. Instead, he was like a top 20 back. So big difference. I think he's in for scoring regression, so I think he'll score more touchdowns, funny enough, this year. But I also think he's going to defer some of the work because they brought in Jordan Mason. Because as much as I love me some Aaron Jones, he's getting up there. I mean, we're going into what, year 31? No, he's 30 now. Yeah, he's 30. So I don't know if we're going to get another. I think last year was the career season. I think now we're going to kind of go on like we're going on the downward, but that's still okay. He's still an excellent player. I still think he'll get like I don't know if he'll get 1,100 yards. We'll probably say like 900, but he'll still get around 50 receptions. He'll still get around 400 yards receiving. He'll still get around like 8 or 9 touchdowns at least. I think he's less of like for me in his prime, he's an RB1. On the back end, like he's been like basically a late RB1, early RB2. I think this is finally the time where he's kind of like an RB3 flex-ish kind of guy. Just because he's not going to be like elite. Like the elite guys like Saquon, Jonathan Taylor. Like Jones isn't going to be there. He's not going to be near the Derrick Henry kind of leading the league in touchdowns. He's not going to be going for the 2,000 yards of Saquon. It's not in the cards. And that's okay. He's still a great player, or he still does a lot. I just think they're kind of going to ease up on the gas pedal with him. Try and like keep him fresh, especially for the playoffs this year. So, still a quality player. I still think he's more than adequate. He's a strong flex RB3, a very high-end RB3, maybe a low RB2, with the possibility to be still getting that career year. I really don't know. I am projecting a downturn, which makes me sad. But that also speaks to the fact that I think Jordan Mason is really, really talented. I've always thought that. They trade for him for a reason, and they're just going to kind of let Mason, instead of like Jones being like 75% of the workload, Jones is probably going to cut back and get like 60. And, you know, that 15% is still a lot. But that's okay. He's still a good player. I don't mind it for the price. I mean, you're not really going to be a healthy, contributing, solid RB who can play for 19. So I like it. 2 picks later, 53 overall. We went Chase Brown. Okay. I have some thoughts on this pick. All right. So last year, as you'll remember, I didn't really like Chase Brown. I took him for my team because I was just like, I'm going to protect my asset, which is Zach Moss. I believe in Zach Moss. Well, Moss ended up getting injured, and it was not so great in Dylan's land. He was pretty good, actually, before he got injured. But once he got injured, it's Chase Brown's team. And he got injured, I want to say, halfway through the season. We just talked about Aaron Jones touching the ball, playing 66% of the offensive snaps. Well, Chase Brown was like a crazy man. So Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, like Derrick Henry plays like, we'll say like 60%. Saquon's like 75. Chase Brown led running backs. He played 88% of offensive snaps on the Bengals after Zach Moss got hurt. That's a crazy number. That is like, you're on the field 9 out of 10 snaps kind of number. Like, that's huge numbers. So he was doing like 19 carries a game, 24 touches a game, counting the receptions. We're talking like averaging 20 fantasy points as he's doing over 115 yards on average per game. So he was like a top 4 running back. And I know all this because, again, he was on my team. And he was down the stretch excellent. And he is in, for fantasy, an excellent offense. He's an excellent, like, the Bengals are pass happy. They're high scoring. They have a terrible defense. So every game's going to be a shootout. And even when you might say it's like, oh, they're pass happy and you might not get the ball so much. Well, it doesn't matter. If you have to score like 38 a game, you're still going to have to run the ball like a third of the time. You're still going to have to give it to somebody. And if this guy is the only guy on the team who's going to get the ball, then by golly, he's going to get a lot of touches. I think, you know, they have, Samaje Perine and Taj Brooks, and that's replacing, like, they trade for, I want to say Khalil Herbert, who got cut yesterday by the Colts. Mm-hmm. So, like, they got some, like, decent backups. I don't think Perine's anything to write home about, but he's a decent pass catching back to the point where Brown shouldn't be playing 88% of the snaps. Like, Jesus, that's so much. It's so much. It's crazy. That's like 1980s running back version of snaps. So all of that is to say, I think he will be a workhorse, but a lot of projections on him are just like, oh, he can keep up this kind of like breakout. And I'm kind of like, he's never done this before. Like, and he only did this for half a season. So projecting that over a whole season and nothing happens is kind of wild. I think he will break 1,000 yards. I think he will get like 9 touchdowns. I think he'll get like 50 receptions for 400 yards. I think he's a quality, like high-end RB2, borderline RB1. The issue I have is you're paying him kind of like he's going to be a top-end guy, which, I mean, granted, the draft got real wonky because Jerome and Charlie decided to just go bananas and blow through any sort of budget that they have because they had no real clue what they were doing. 90 on Bijan and like 85 on Saquon is just, that's really hard to build a good team around. But, like, McCaffrey went for 49, even if you don't like McCaffrey because he gets injured all the time. Okay, Jahmyr Gibbs went for 76. Freaking Jonathan Taylor went for 67. Ashton Genty went for 68. I have a really difficult time thinking that Chase Brown's going to be better than all of them because the problem I have, and what I'm trying to allude to, is a lot of Chase Brown's production is based off of the fact that, he's there. That's not really talent. It's availability. Now, it's true availability is the most important quality, but again, we're not talking about this like he's quick. His vision's all right. He's in a pass-heavy offense, so I think he'll get his. But I don't love betting on, we're not betting on efficiency. We're betting on, like, workload. And the workload, I mean, even if you want to say it's like, oh, well, you draft guys who are in a spot to have good workload. I mean, that's true. I do like to have guys who are in a spot to get workload, like Jonathan Taylor. But there's also such a thing as too much workload. All right, Derrick Henry doesn't play 88% of the offensive snaps, and that dude's probably going to the Hall of Fame. You're going to tell me that Chase Brown can hold up a whole season playing that kind of like mass on him? I don't believe you. I simply think that's not true. I've never seen it. He was even sweating it out late in last season because he was just getting dog tired. So I think he'll be good. I think that he will put up numbers because nobody else is there, quote unquote. But I also don't see him as an RB1, and you are paying him to be an RB1, and I would have been way more comfortable just giving, like, obviously I like Genty more, so we'll take my thoughts about that out of it. But, like, Jahmyr Gibbs for 76 is, like, real quality, and he's shown it over a larger sample size, and he's, like, a better player. Or, like, I mean, I just went over Justin. Justin has a Marion Hampton. Yeah, he's a rookie, but great situation if you want to compare situations. I mean, Josh Jacobs went for 55. Bucky Irvin went for 46. I have a problem with Chase Brown somehow being worth 70. I think you kind of just jumped the gun on this. I mean, obviously you really wanted him, but like building a team around him, a championship team, I didn't win a championship with him, and I don't even think he was my best running back last year. It was Derrick Henry. So thinking that he wasn't even down the stretch as much workload as he was getting, Bucky Irving was better too. So he was like my third best running back, and I still didn't win a championship, and he's going to be your best running back, and you're going to win a championship. That's hard. That's really hard for me to see. But I do like your team just because at least this year, I mean, Jerome auto-drafted the back end, but by that point he had spent most of his money. So there's a lot more talent is spread around, it seems like, this year. There's no super teams, as I mentioned. But yeah, $70 for Chase Brown's a lot. I was way more comfortable at like 55. Uh, so I don't know about all that. 61 Jordan Addison, $6. I know that I nominate Addison because I was chumming the waters. I mean, he's a good player. When he's played, he's been like top 25 points per game, so he's quality. He's a workable like wide receiver 3-ish kind of guy. He's a touchdown machine. I think last year he scored 10 touchdowns, which helps the fact that he doesn't catch the ball a whole lot because it is truly the Justin Jefferson show. Not to mention the fact that we have Addison, but we also have Aaron Jones. So are they going to play together? Because that seems foolish. No, like a lot of his points come from scoring. He's very boom or bust. I want to say there were 3 games in particular that were real big last year. We scored a couple touchdowns in them. He suspended 3 games to start the season. TJ Hawkinson's back and totally healthy now. And they just traded for Adam Thielen today. So not feeling too great about Addison. I think what you paid for him because of the suspension makes it fine. Like it's $6 it doesn't really matter. So I wouldn't say it's a steal for him, but he's a quality player, and paying that is not an overpay. So we'll say maybe around, because of the suspension, maybe around 800 yards, maybe like 5 touchdowns. And there'll be weeks where he's good enough to be your wide receiver flex-ish kind of guy, wide receiver 3. But it's tough because he's boom or bust, and you never really know when those are. And it is, gosh, is he like the 4th banana on that team? Because we're talking Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones. I'd say Hawkinson's ahead of him too. We just traded for Thielen, so I don't even know what that means. So yeah, not great, not bad, just okay. Speaking of Aaron Jones, now we get to one of my favorites. So 69th overall, $8, Jordan Mason. So I'm happy for Mason. Last year, halfway through the season, because McCaffrey got hurt, he led the league in rushing. He was quality. And obviously, McCaffrey came back. He got injured later in the season. He's not much of a pass catcher, so that'll be Aaron Jones's thing. But he will take some of the workload off of Jones. He's a good insurance policy. I think in and of himself, if Jones is going to get around 900 yards, he might get around 700 yards, maybe 4 touchdowns. There's going to be weeks where he is the guy, possibly. This isn't a strict 50-50. I think Jones will get more play time. But it's relatively close. That's why I kind of have Jones as a RB3 kind of flex guy. I got Jordan Mason as an RB3 kind of flex guy. I just think they're both good enough to carry a backfield. I kind of wish one of them, like Jones last year, had a career year with 1,100 yards, or one of his staple years with 1,100 yards, and then another 400 yards receiving. So we can see what he can do without having someone to share the load. But obviously he's getting older, so you don't know how much longer he's going to hold on. So this is a committee, or a duo in this case. If something happens to one of them, obviously the other's going to pick up the slack. I like the pick, especially because he got Jones. No problem with it. Just a little surprised that you went in on Vikings running backs. A little weird. 116, you got your first quarterback, so Bo Nix. Nix was pretty good last year. Considering the prices of quarterbacks this year, I actually don't mind you getting him at $14. I think, Jane Daniels had the best rookie year last year, but Nix wasn't far behind him. He finished around QB9, I want to say. So I think he might even be better this year. I don't know if he'll be as efficient, which is a weird thing to say, but he'll be on the cusp of 4,000 yards, and he'll get his over 25 touchdowns, and he'll still rush for maybe another 400 yards. That dual threat thing people don't really consider, but he's in Sean Payton's offense. He's a perfect fit. It's kind of weird. He's a tall but not super strong version of Drew Brees, which is what he was drafted to be. Very cerebral player, very interesting. So, lucky for him, I talked about Caleb Johnson and Justin's video being a perfect fit for Arthur Smith's offense. Bo Nix is a perfect fit for Sean Payton's offense. It just like a glove. So, yeah, I don't mind this, especially because quarterback was real funky this year. So, getting 14 on Nix, who you believe in, got no problem. Not going to fight you on it. I like him a lot. I think he's on the upswing, even if he's older. He's like, 26? So, yeah. $5, Tyrone Tracy Jr., Giants. We just talked about Scadaboo with Justin. And here's my issue. All right, you spent, we're getting back. I know I'm rehashing it from a previous video, but like you spent $5 on Cam Scadaboo. You couldn't spend another $5 on Tyrone Tracy, the actual starter. Again, just like splitting hairs here, but like don't just draft people to draft people. Like, oh, he's a rookie running back. Cool. How, like, Tyrone Tracy's only a second-year back. It's not like he's like some veteran we're trying to put out to pasture or something. He was pretty good last year. I'm not saying he was great, but he was pretty good. And, yeah, he took that job from Devin Singletary. And Scadaboo's just going to come in and take that from him? I don't think so. I don't know what games you've been watching. So, yeah, Tracy was good. He came down the stretch. He took over the job. Obviously, the Giants were freaking terrible. Daniel Jones and all that mess. So I think he's more of like a back-end flex kind of guy. I think obviously he's in a timeshare with Scadaboo, but I don't think it's as big as Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. I think Tracy ought to be getting like 65%, 2/3 of the work is what Tracy ought to be getting. He's just more explosive, simply put. I think he'll come close to getting his 1,000 yards. I think he'll get like 300 yards receiving. I think you getting him for $5 is a freaking steal. It's one of the better steals of running back, and that's why there are people who are just like, oh, I couldn't get a running back, or running backs don't matter. I'm just like, you easily could have gotten a running back if you had any idea how to work a budget, because there were some back end deals in this league for like guys going for cheap. So it's utterly ridiculous that like 3 teams struggled to get any running backs in our league, considering some guys are literally starting for teams that went for $1. So just utterly ridiculous. I like Tracy. I think he's a good player. I think you getting him for $5 is utterly baffling. Even if nothing else, the situation ought to be better this year than what he walked into as a rookie last year and still put up numbers. So, yeah, I love this pick. I don't like this pick. I love this pick. For everything of you overpaying for Chase Brown, I guess you made up for it with Tracy, because honestly, I have Tracy at least as like a $15 player, probably 20, and you got him for $5, and that's just a screaming deal. That's one of the best deals in our league. Okay, $3 Nick Chubb, 143. I mean, you're singing the praises of Nick Chubb. You're very high on him because Joe Mixon's injury. And before his injury 2 years ago, he was probably a top 5 back in football. He was incredible. Last year he came back. He wasn't that great. And then he missed towards the end of the season with a broken foot. And I'll be honest, he did not look good last year. What made Nick Chubb always so talented was almost like the force of his knees, if that makes sense. Like his ability to see the hole and kind of jump cut and explode through it. And the problem is when I watched him, I don't see the explosion. The lateral quickness, the decisiveness. I mean, he's trying, like he puts his foot in the ground and he tries to push through, but it's not there. And I think getting another year away from the knee injury will be good, but man, that knee injury was so brutal. And now he's 29, and it was the same knee he blew out in college too. So, it is tough for me with Nick Chubb. He's going to get like no passing down work either. He's not going to catch any passes. He's a pure rusher. But without that explosion, he's got no shot. And what's even worse is this Texans offensive line, I will say it now, they are the worst offensive line in football. It's not close. They are freaking terrible. All right, Laramie Tunsil was their best player on their O-line, and they traded him away to Washington. And for what? For, like, their offensive line is so bad. And they got rid of their offensive coordinator and kept the offensive line coach. And I was just like, for what? Who are you kidding? No wonder CJ Stroud had like a down year last year. This is freaking awful. Like, they got nobody. He's going to get destroyed. So, yeah, I have very little hope for the Texans, like, any sort of run game. It does not matter to me. Like, I had to watch Saquon Barkley, like, have to fight through below average lines on the Giants. This is worse than below average. This is, like, terrible. This is the worst line in football. So, I have very low expectations for Chubb. I'm going to give him, like, 600 yards, maybe, like, 5 touchdowns. Mixon might even be gone for the season. I'm still going to keep the expectations super low. So, you can surprise me. I mean, you've been talking up Chubb, and you've been saying, like, oh, he looks good. But, like, man, between the injuries, the lack of explosion, and the bad O-line, I have, like, all the warning lights are on, all right? The sensors on the car are on. Like, the check engine light is on. It's not looking great. The check engine light's gone. We're low on fuel, and the low tire pressure warning signs on too. Like, nothing is good, all right? And we're blowing through a red light. Like, it's not good. The Texans' O-line is not good. Like, this is bad. So, you might be high on Chubb. I am not high on Chubb. I was happy to see someone take him because I don't even know if he was worth the dollar. And he's a starting running back, and I'm not sure of that. Just because, like, I'm very leery of him getting injured or him being inefficient or the O-line just being outright terrible. So, that's a long rant, but I see on your team currently, I think you have Chubb starting and you have Jones on the bench. I would flip that. Ain't no way Chubb is going to make through the season producing. Like, there are too many bad signs. For $3, I suppose it's fine. He's a starting running back, but oof, we talk about running back with a pulse. This is borderline no pulse here, guys. Like, this is bad. It is no bueno. So yeah. Anyway, $12. Ricky Purcell. I saw that Brian, I think, took Jawan Jennings for like $3. You took Purcell for $12, so I know you were sitting on him. I actually really like the pick. I suspect Justin was probably chasing him too. So another first-round receiver last year. Obviously got shot before the start of the season, so he didn't debut till like halfway through. And he wasn't really much of a factor in those games, I want to say. But things are different now. Jawan Jennings at this time is kind of hurt. Deebo Samuel's gone. He's in Washington. Brandon Ayuk is still gone, recovering from the ACL tear. Someone's got to step up. And it's not like Shanahan doesn't know how to do offense. The O-line's still all right. McCaffrey's beat up. I like George Kittle. I think Purcell's probably going to be, him and Kittle are kind of going to take the mantle now. I think this is where we see why they took him in the first round. So I'm thinking he gets like 1,000 yards. I'm thinking he gets like 5 or 6 touchdowns. And I'm thinking he's like a wide receiver 3 flexish kind of guy with the possibility for more. Because we forget what the 49ers looked like when they were super healthy with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk and Chris McCaffrey, and they're going to the NFC Championship game. We forget that version because of how rough last year was. If they're even half of what they were a couple of years ago, this offense will hum. It won't be like the locomotive that they were 2 years ago, but it'll still be pretty quick. So I think Purcell's a great breakout candidate. I understand paying $12. It's a little rich for my tastes, but I can understand it for what the possibility could be. He could be a top 15-ish wide receiver if things break right. So getting that kind of upside on the back end, totally down for it. 179, we took Jerome Ford. Oh, look at that, it's Jerome Ford. So, yeah, I mean, he's still in Cleveland. Nick Chubb's gone. He kind of had the chance to take the job 2 years ago and then take the job last year, and he was just okay. He's got the 2 rookies there. I think you're starting him right now because Judkins still hasn't signed his contract, and Sampson is like a rookie out of Tennessee. He's more of a pass-catching guy. I don't know. I just feel like I watched Jerome Ford, and he's like, okay. He follows his blocking. He falls forward. He's like tough player. He's just very like average running back guy. And I feel like whenever Judkins comes back, it's his job. I mean, obviously, he's got to learn the playbook. He's got to be healthy. He's got to actually practice. So it's not like he can just like sign the contract and walk him out there next week. It's not going to happen. I doubt he's in shape. But, I mean, I guess since Ford's technically the starter right now, I think, getting him for like $2 probably to start half the season is not bad. I think he'll get like 600 yards out of him, maybe like 30 receptions or so, maybe like 4 or 5 touchdowns. I just don't. We've seen what Ford can do when he's had a full season of being the guy, and it was just okay. So I don't think Cleveland is signing up for just okay. I think they're trying to find they're essentially trying to replace Nick Chubb, the version of Nick Chubb that was going into the season 2 years ago, not current version of Nick Chubb, the 27-year-old Nick Chubb before the knee injury. And Jerome Ford isn't that guy, and I don't think he's ever going to be that guy. And that's okay, because he's just a guy. So he's an all right starter for $2. I mean, we need running backs with a pulse. I just talked about how I'm fearful of Chubb not having a pulse. I can say Jerome Ford definitely has a pulse. He's there. He's a dude. So he's not great, but he's there. 184, $3, Josh Downs. I'm not going to speak too much of it. He's more of like a slot guy. The QBs are terrible in Indy. He's had to have his whole career freaking with like Anthony Richardson, and now he's got like Daniel Jones. So, not looking too great. I think he's a good slot guy, so I guess he'll get some first downs. Maybe like 800 yards, maybe like 4 or 5 touchdowns. He'll be he's basically your wide receiver 4 kind of guy. You can occasionally start at flex if someone gets injured, but he's just kind of like he's stuck. I would like him a lot more, funny enough, if he was even on a team like Miami, because at least as injured as Tua is, whenever Tua plays, at least I can trust they'll air it out. I have no idea what to do with Indy. Like, I don't feel like they're going to air it out. I feel like they're just going to give the ball to Jonathan Taylor and occasionally do some play action. So that doesn't really lead me a lot to Josh Downs. He's just going to kind of be there. 208 for $1. We took Dak. The Dak attack is back. Last year was brutal. Year before was great. He was like number 2 in MVP voting. I think he was the 5th overall fantasy quarterback. He helped Matt win a title. I mean, I know you love your double quarterbacks. I'm surprised you took Bo Nix and Dak. That's a super weird combo. George Pickens is there. The O-line's slightly worse. They got no ground game because Jaden Blue, Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, like just the most random put together trio of running backs. That's got to be the worst running back depth chart in the NFL for the money. That's got to be the worst one. I mean, Dak's probably borderline top 12-ish quarterback, which is startable in our league. I think Knicks will be better, but, maybe you want to play Dak. Maybe he'll become something and you attempt to trade him for whatever you want. But it can't be as bad as it was last year, so it's got to be better than which I guess is the point for you. Just be careful of the interceptions and don't be afraid to dump him if he's just doing stuff. Roshan Johnson, hey, I missed you, bro. I like him. He didn't touch the ball a whole lot last year. I'm interested to see what Ben Johnson is cooking up with him. I'm hoping he gets the Jamal Williams, David Montgomery role, but I'm not really feeling that. I haven't seen in the preseason. Maybe Ben Johnson's cooking up something different. I'm not sure. I don't really know what to do with Roshan. He's just a lottery ticket for you. We'll say like 300 yards rushing, maybe like 15 receptions. There's a possibility for more. Maybe Swift gets hurt and Roshan's the guy. I don't really know what to do with Chicago just because like things look better. I believe Caleb Williams will be better, but how much better, I don't know. I don't know. So there's always so much you can change in the offseason without giving guys continuity. I know there was a lot of me in this video just being like super harsh on some of your team, especially like Chase Brown, Jordan Addison. But I really do like the team. Like, I just talked about your whole offensive team and everyone on your team. We'll minus Nick Chubb. I don't really have much belief in Nick Chubb, but everyone else on your team, I think, can contribute. I think is a quality player. I think is a starter in our league. I mean, Dak, even at what he is probably a better starter than some of the teams that are trotting out. I think someone's starting Trevor Lawrence right now. And I'm just like, what evidence do you have that that's a good idea? At least with Dak, there's some semblance of he could be very good in the regular season kind of guy. Yeah, I do not like the fact that you are in my top 2 draft teams, but I am fair. If nothing else, I am fair. And the team is quality. Like, you have depth all over. If you need to make a move for a star player, you're certainly one of the teams that can do it. There are certainly teams that could use some of the backs that you have on your freaking bench. So you just need your receivers to realistically stay healthy. I think it'll be kind of a grind until Addison gets back. I would definitely consider moving Nick Chubb for like somebody's receiver somewhere who's quality. Because, I mean, if you're playing Nick Chubb, I got questions, dog. Like, what are you doing? Who hurt you? Did everyone else on your team get injured? Like, did someone die? Did you lose a bet? Because, like, that's like breaking case of glass guy on your team right now. So, I guess you can play him over Roshan, because I don't know if Roshan's splitting carries with Swift or what. But other than that, like, Chubb would not play for me, for example, and I think I have less depth than you. So, yeah. Other than that one particular thing, I like the team. I don't think Chase Brown's going to be like a number 1 superstar guy that can lead you to a championship. But I tell you what, having gone through this whole video, if you were able to trade for a star player and Brown was like your number 2, I'd feel way better about it. Like, if you took like Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones, and Jordan Addison, and you got Saquon Barkley from Charlie, and you just plugged him in, I'd be like, dang, that is a superstar team. That team has everything. That team is a threat. I already think you're a threat, but that gives you a general idea of where my head's at. So, good draft, Rob. Wow. Good draft, Robbie. Don't like saying that, but I respect it. I think you'll probably beat me week 1, to be completely honest with you. The team looks good. So, yeah, I can't knock it.